Welcome to an episode of You Haven't Read What? I'm Krysta.
And I'm Christina. Join us to explore unique genres, childhood favorites, and literary classics as we dive into each other's favorite reads.
Where one of us is very familiar with the book, the other is reading for the very first time. Let's go!
You haven't read what? Woohoo! We'll have to definitely work on that.
But yeah, welcome to our first podcast.
Woohoo!
Yay! Need your clapping sound effect.
I know, we do need like a clapping. That would be kind of cool.
We'll come up with one.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll have to have some fun buttons. So I'm Christina.
And I'm Krysta.
Yep. And we are just some friends that want to trade off our books that are our favorites and see if the other one enjoys it or not.
And go back and reread and see what holds up that we read maybe many years ago.
Right.
Reread and go, yeah, that was really good. And reread and go, yeah, it's still really good. Or, oh boy, that didn't age well.
Right. Exactly. What did you learn this time when you read it? Because
what do I wish I didn't learn?
Right. I mean, books are so interesting in that way because you kind of like, did I really want to learn something from it? Did I not? Like, and was it interesting? Why was it interesting to us, you know, at the certain time that we did read it?
Or that time of life where now life's changed.
Right. Yep. And how many years it's been since.
Right. And life has happened. Things have happened.
Right. Exactly.
Moves, marriages, kids. Like,
right.
Oh boy, that ages differently.
Yep, for sure.
So yeah. So we just thought it'd be fun to kind of go back and enjoy some books that one of us have read that the other hasn't and dive into them and enjoy new reads for one of us.
Yep.
We'll trade off.
I'm sure there's going to be a couple of reads that we're going to both want to reread that we've already both read.
Yes.
At some point. We'll probably do something like that. But
or when I start reading, go, oh, wait, I did read that.
Right, exactly. I mean, I definitely struggle rereading books because usually I can picture it in my brain and be like, oh, I've already read the whole thing.
Yeah, when you have all the, spoiler alerts out in front of you, it's like,
Yep.
Is this still enjoyable?
Right, exactly.
If you know who done it.
Right. Yep. And not only that, but like some books have movies and the movies don't necessarily completely go with the book. And that can be difficult.
Yeah. And sometimes in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've read a few of them like, wow, this is very different than the book, but it holds up on its own.
Right.
Just as well.
Yep.
Other ones, I'm like, I refuse to watch that movie because it's so bad.
Oh, I know. There are some movies that just do not do the book justice, like at all. And then there's ones where I'm like, oh, I like that better than the book in some ways.
Yeah, or that actually went hand in hand really well.
Right. Yep. When they actually make the movie that just like really
enhances the
yes,
book.
Exactly. And then you start rereading the book again and you go, oh, I'm actually reading that in whoever's voice from the movie,
Yep.
So, yeah.
I have one of my favorite ones of those on here. We'll get to in just a second.
Okay.
So Christina, tell us about yourself.
So I am a mom and a wife and just kind of stay at home. I've got kind of my own little gig on the side that I'm starting. It's called Bundle Creations. Ooh. We're going to try and get that up and running here shortly as well. Got a lot of new things going on. And I love to read. I was actually looking at my insights on my Kindle. 2 years ago, I read over 200 books.
Good Lord.
Last year, I read 180 something. And this year, I'm actually super far behind. I've only read 77 books this year. And
okay, everyone listening, don't feel bad. I'm nowhere close to that.
I know. I have a lot of time on my hands. Not really, but I do listen to a lot of books as well, which is actually what helps me. And I have ADHD, so I read about 15 books at the same time. They are not all different, but most of them are. So I'll do like different genres or different style books, so that way I can keep them all straight in my head. So yeah. And what about you, Krysta?
So not like that. I can definitely only read one book at a time. Otherwise, I forget which one I'm reading because I'll put it down and forget about it.
Right.
And yeah, so I'm kind of a one at a time, and I always prefer physical books. And as also, a wife and a mom of two littles, the only time I really found Kindles or ebooks was when the babies were real little.
Oh yeah.
And one of them would fall asleep on me and
nap trapped.
Yeah. And when you're holding a little squishy 8-pound thing in one hand, it's hard to hold a book.
It is. Yep.
So that's when I started doing, especially Kindles.
Yeah.
I was like, I can flip pages with a thumb as opposed to
exactly
wake up the 1 month
the
old
whole thing so that you can turn a whole page.
Like, it's not worth it.
It's definitely
keep
not.
reading this page.
Yep.
So yeah, and we met through mutual friends.
Yep.
Have kind of lived all over the place separately.
Both of us. Yep.
And then kind of just recently came together in the last 2 years in Colorado.
Yep.
Very excited about. It's pretty here.
It is gorgeous.
It fits in very well with my hobbies, especially. I'm really biking, hiking, snowboarding, that kind of
You like
stuff.
to be outdoors.
I like to be outside, especially when it's cold.
Yeah, not me.
We moved from the Midwest. It was way too hot. It's dry here. I can actually be outside when it's not 120% humidity. It's fantastic.
Wait for the snow. Snow.
I'm ready to go ski.
I know. I actually am very excited for the snow only because I like my hot drinks and pumpkin spice is about to come out.
It's already out.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
It is.
It is. Okay. Well,
we're both ready for fall.
Me one. I know, right? Sweater season is definitely my favorite. I can definitely get on board with adding more layers rather than taking all the layers off. So
it's only socially acceptable to take so many layers off and leave the house.
Right. Exactly. Plus, when it gets cooler in the morning, it's just so much nicer to be outside.
We've had the windows open the last few nights.
Yep.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning, it's like 40 degrees. Like,
yeah.
Yes.
I might actually have to start doing that at night because my husband likes it at 64 degrees in the house. So it's always really cold, but I definitely prefer the crisp.
As soon as the sun sinks behind the range, temperature tanks.
Right.
It's the best.
Yep. Yeah.
But, yeah. So those are kind of some of our hobbies. What are some of your other, besides reading, some other hobbies?
So besides reading, I love to just kind of work with my hands. I do like to be outdoors, especially when it's cooler. But I definitely do not like skiing. I fall every time and I always hurt myself. So we just ain't going there, people. I would much rather be in a cabin drinking something, either adult beverage or something hot and reading a book or just watching a movie. Lately, I've really been watching a lot of Murder, She Wrote. I am definitely an Angela Lansbury fan. So
I have no idea who that is.
She's actually got a really neat history behind her. So if you ever have a
note
chance,
to come back to that later.
Yeah, she's awesome. And her life story is pretty crazy. So,
Fascinating.
But yeah, she was an actress, and I want to say she's still alive, but don't quote me on that. And she's in her later 90s. So
wow,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I like to watch movies, TV, hanging out with my family, my friends. We've got a lot of mutual friends, like you said, here in Colorado, which is nice.
Awesome.
So that way we can...
Built-in village.
I know, right?
We moved
and
here.
It takes a lot.
It takes a whole lot to make the quote unquote, and put this in air quotes here, and like the mom village. But it takes a village, and
it does. It really does.
There's some stinkers out there, so you got to find the good one.
Right. One so you can do a podcast with.
Hey!
Cha-ching. But yes, we're going to have a barbecue today. So, I mean...
Enjoy the end of summer.
Exactly. And it's fun. The kids have been in school for a couple of weeks, which is nice. But at the same time, it's been kind of lonely too. So, not having kids around all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the nerd. I'm an engineer and do fun engineering math stuff.
Yeah,
that's my during the day is
math
nerd
is
out.
not fun for me. I have to drink in order to understand math most of the time.
Sometimes I do too, just not at work.
The really hard equations.
Yeah, a little bit. But that does lead into kind of book genres I tend to like, tend to be a little more sci-fi, mystery, thinking about what's going to happen. And so, yeah, super nerd here with Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Jurassic Park. And because we kind of talking about books and movies, my favorite book at the moment, because it changes.
Yep,
I read a new book. I'm like, ooh, this is my new favorite. My current favorite is The Martian by Andy Weir. I don't know if you've seen
the movie. I have seen the movie.
That is...
But it's been a long time.
The only instance so far, I highly recommend people watch the movie before you read the book.
Interesting.
Because getting Matt Damon's head and being able to picture Mars is makes the book so much better. And of course the book, there's more to it. There's more happens in the book, which makes sense.
Obviously.
But the picture and it's such a wonderful book. And then he wrote another one, Andy Weir wrote another one called Project Hail Mary, which is also a phenomenal book.
Sounds like a football movie. If you ask me.
It's not.
It's probably not, but Hail Mary. Football.
We're coming up on football season.
I know, right?
I drafted last night. I did not do well. My fantasy league with my family. So.
Well, I mean, you never know. Those fantasy leagues can definitely change on a dime. So
hey, some quarterback gets hurt at the beginning of the season. Let's go. I got a good team all of a sudden.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I love football, but I like football more for the camaraderie with everybody else that I'm around.
And fun commercials.
I don't really even watch them. I like just hanging out with people. I like to ask really stupid sports questions, even though I
There's
know
no stupid questions.
Oh, trust me, my brother-in-law would beg to differ. I like to sometimes just act like I have no clue what I'm talking about when it comes to sports, especially when I meet somebody brand new. It's so much more fun. So
I'm a big sports ball person. I follow all the sports ball except for basketball. Yeah, I find basketball really boring.
Yeah.
But otherwise, diehard soccer fan, go Sounders. And my husband got me pulled into soccer. And then I made him pull into my Seattle team.
Right.
So, haha.
Yep.
I win.
Yep. I am definitely a Buccaneers fan. Tampa Bay, go me. Not a Tom Brady fan, but whatever.
I wasn't going to ask.
Everybody's like, well, that's why you like them. I'm like, no, I've loved them since day one. So, yeah. Always been a Bucs fan. I'm going to actually get a big old tattoo. That's
nice.
Not a Buccaneer ship, but it's going to be similar. So
because they have the flag, right?
They do. Okay, yep. And they got the skull flag, the whole 9 yards. Pirates. Let's do this.
So what kind of books do you like to read?
So I'm kind of all over the place. Like the rest of my life, I am very ADHD when it comes to my books.
And we love you for it.
I know, right? So I do a little bit of sci-fi, not a whole super fan of it, but I do read some of it. Mysteries, thrillers. I love that. The romance of some books are really nice too. I've got a passion for some self-help books too. I know that's kind of weird.
No, those are ones that change with your phase of life.
Oh, for sure. Yep, for sure. And you learn something new almost every time you read one. Yes. So, but yeah, I'm kind of all over the board. I tend to read a little bit of everything. I do a lot of historical romances as well as thriller whodunit books and stuff like that. So I definitely like to read a little bit of everything.
Nice. And that's part of the fun of doing a podcast, of reaching down to books.
I know, right?
Like the whodunit mystery we have in common. But besides that, it's
yep,
it's fairly different.
I know. Yeah, it is very different for us.
Reach out of your comfort zone and do new things we're constantly telling our kids to do.
I know, right?
Try new things, make new friends. As an adult, I'm like, no, I don't need to do that anymore.
I don't want to do that. Why would I want to actually meet somebody? Why?
What's happening?
I am very extroverted, so I am very much a person that loves to experience new things and do something new, which is when you brought this up to me and you were like, hey, I was like, let's do it.
Please.
Let's do it. Let's do something fun and different and interesting.
Just funny because I'm the introvert. So this is okay because it's just the two of us.
Right.
I'm just we're by ourselves.
It's me, my microphone, and you.
There's nobody else around. It's fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
After the barbecue tonight, I'm going to need some quiet time.
Oh, man.
Leave me alone. Recharge.
Yep, exactly. And then there's me who at the barbecue, I will probably talk a lot. And then, and then I'll get home and be like, okay, I've got so much energy. Let's do something. Like I'm some gremlin of some sort that just like pops out. Okay, I'm going to be wired until 3 a.m. Perfect.
Oh, no.
And then I've got my little one, which I am nicknaming Water as per requested.
Their request.
So I've got Water all day tomorrow, no school. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to be up till forever in the morning. I already know it. And
I forgot that they didn't have school tomorrow. Thanks.
Yep, no school.
And that's Christina's kid and our oldest are in the same class together.
Yes, they are.
Which is so far so good.
So far so good.
We were a little afraid they'd get sick of each other and we couldn't hang out.
Yep.
Thankfully that hasn't happened yet.
Right. But it's only like a month in, so not even quite a month in. Yeah, there's plenty of time for them to hate each other. So whatever.
Not hate each other. Just drive each other nuts.
Like sisters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then we want to hang out and have a barbecue and they're like, please no.
Exactly. I mean, Water can definitely probably play with Thing too. So it's all good.
It's true. That's true. That's the advantage of having two is yours has choices.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Or like, I don't know, just go play by yourself. Whatever.
Nothing wrong with that. Quiet time.
Right? Like being bored is okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay to be bored.
It's a very good thing.
Yeah.
Cool. So I already kind of touched on this, but goals of the podcast, why we did this.
I mean,
to read new books.
Yeah, for sure. I want to learn something new, something interesting that you like. And while we'll get to what our first book is, I have been putting it off for over 36 years at this point.
Oh, it hasn't been out that long.
Okay, well, I have been putting it off for a really long time. But I am very interested to see why it's such a classic for a lot of people. It's almost like a cult
kind of
classic.
A cult following, yeah, a little bit.
So it'll be interesting to see why. And I'm interested to see what my take on it is because I have been putting it off for so long. So, yeah.
So that's we're going to trade off which one of us is familiar with the book. Mm-hmm. So in this first case, which like I said, we'll get to in a minute.
Yep.
I am very familiar. I have read multiple times. Mm-hmm. I follow multiple podcasts and love it. But I haven't read it with somebody who's never read it before.
Yeah.
So not saying spoilers would be really hard. But right. Like, I'm so excited for this part coming up. And you're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, exactly. I mean, I know the gist of it for the most part.
I'm going to quiz you in a few minutes.
Okay, cool. But I mean, that's just it. It's just the gist at this point. Yeah. So it's kind of going to be interesting to see what happens and how I react to it.
And when we started talking about this, we came up with a fairly good list of books for both of us that go both ways.
Yep.
That, you were like, what do you mean you haven't read? Like, you haven't read this? Hence the name of the podcast.
Right.
Like, what do you mean you haven't read this? It's been out for however many years and I was required to read this in school and I actually liked it.
Right. Yes.
Which is, should say, we are not doing a bunch of classic, boring high school reads, honestly.
Definitely not.
We're doing fun stuff.
Yep.
We're doing stuff we want to do.
Yep. And there are probably going to be some books that people have never actually even heard of or read before because like that's kind of that's where you're just. That's kind of where I come in. I like to read a lot of different things. And so it's just one of those like, I'd much rather read somebody that's got, barely any books under them, but are interesting. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. And we'll say like we are two adults, obviously. Yep. We have families, but like we're adults. We're not gonna promise we're reading kids books here. We're not gonna promise we're gonna keep all content G rated. Right. So try to keep.
We will try to keep the profanity down. However, there's going to be times where it's just going to come up, or it's going to be part of a
content.
book. Yep.
Yes.
And books will have, adult content that we want to talk about or like discuss. And so I think you're right.
And we'll try to put trigger warnings in front of things if there's something that could be a little sensitive to a listener or to one of us. We'll make sure we talk about beforehand, and try to give warnings if there's something that may be a little heavy.
Yep.
But just know, like, we're not necessarily staying completely G-rated, but
Right.
But
we are adults.
We're just adults. We're having fun.
Exactly. And speaking of that, like what books we do read, like the authors and the cast members, when it comes to movies that might be a part of that book, they're also adults.
They're humans.
Yep. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody has their right to their opinion. And if you don't like that right or that opinion, that's okay. That's your opinion. So
opinions work.
Right.
So we know we're going to come across, authors, actors, directors, publishers, take your pick, that have opinions or certain morals maybe that don't align with ours.
Right.
And you know what? Again,
that's okay.
We can't do anything about it.
Their opinion.
So one thing we are going to do, which we'll give all the information at the end of this podcast, but if you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, wherever, we're going to have a list of charities that are kind of near and dear to us.
Yep. They probably won't mostly be about books.
Yeah, no.
So like book charities.
Me, they're going to be about dogs.
Yeah.
We're all about rescues. I got my little rescue golden retriever Lally now.
Right.
So we're going to provide a list of charities that are close to us. So that way it's up to you if you are either looking to, counter donate, in support of, to show angst against a author or whatever.
Yep.
Or if it's the end of the year and you're like, shoot, I need some tax write-offs. Like,
right.
Here's a quick list.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
So we'll have that up on our website. Like you said, we'll definitely have that kind of tagged in there at the end. But I think, it just comes down to, you don't have to agree with everything anybody says. You don't even have to agree with us.
Nope.
If you really don't want to. So I think it's just part of how the world turns. And
we're going to have community rules.
Yep, we will have community rules.
Neither one of us has any interest in having this be a super political thing.
No, not at all.
We're having fun.
Yep.
We're casual.
We just want to have fun.
We're friends hanging out.
Girls just want to have fun.
There you go. There's our new intro.
There you go. There you go. Maybe we should try and figure out how to do that. Girl, you haven't read what?
There you go.
Something like that. We'll figure it out.
I'm going to need a lot more drinks if you can get me singing.
A lot more adult beverages.
All right. So shall I introduce our first book and kind of where this is all started?
Let's do it.
All right. So we are starting with, I'm going to reach around the mic here. Sorry if I bump it.
Harry Potter.
So we're going to start with Harry Potter.
Yes.
Because Christina has never read a single Harry Potter book or watched a single movie.
No. And like I said, I have put it off for so long.
Not 36 years.
Well, not quite 36 years. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. My best friend is a little PO that I've never actually read the book still to this day. And I've known her for forever. But yeah, it's just one of those books that never interested me. As a kid, I was not allowed to deal with witches and magic and all of the devilly stuff. Yep. So it just never was one of those things. And then as I got older, I just, again, never really became a thing with it.
It's harder as an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah. To go back and I don't know, read stuff that's that quick and is, again, air quotes here, like kids' books.
Yep. And not only that, but with like such a following, it's one of those things where I was like, I'm going against the following. But at the same time, right, exactly. But at the same time, it's one of those like, everybody has read it or watched the movies. Like,
and also at some point, your kid's going to be asking, somebody's going to come home saying, name me names. You're like, what is this about? Should I care? Should I be worried? Like,
right, exactly.
You have to make your own decisions for your family.
Yep.
And and I was like, these are really fun.
Yeah.
And
well, you've been having Thing 1.
Yes. So our oldest, Thing 1, she and I read the first book this summer.
Okay.
And then had a special movie night. She got to watch the movie, and I'm gonna dabble in some of her thoughts about the movie when we get there.
Okay.
It's very comical from her eyes.
I'm sure.
She's like, what is this? And I'm like, okay, important life lesson. The books are always better. And she's like, ugh.
Well, in most general terms, yes, I think books are always better.
I'm
but
motivating
there's a couple that I would
keep reading.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's keep motivated.
I know, right? Especially at their ages right now, because it's kind of like, I can't do that. I'm like, yes, you can.
They're learning to read. Both of our kids are extremely strong readers.
Yes, they are.
But they're still learning.
Yep.
And they get frustrated very easily. Or word names.
And from what I've heard, this book has a lot of extremely weird words. So that's even more fun when it comes to kids just learning how to read. Sound it out. Read? Huh? It's the same word? Why is it spelled that way? English sucks. It does. It totally does.
So we're going to start with working our way through, and we're not going to make this a straight chapter by chapter because especially when we're not doing spoilers, I'm talking ahead. Like, I mean, there are some chapters that go by very fast.
Yep.
So I've got it broken up. We're going to, again, post that. We'll have a list of what chapters are going with which podcast.
Yep.
And there's always a chance that we get in and I was like, hey, we were planning on talking these 2 chapters and we spend the entire time on one.
Right.
And we break that. And we're like, sorry, this is now a 2-parter. Like, didn't intend that. That's okay.
That's all right.
We're going to figure it out.
Yep.
And so, so I did read all the Harry Potter books as they came out.
Okay.
And it was funny because I had a couple friends in school, mainly one that, their parents did not allow them to read. Because again, the witchcraft. My dad had this like, all right, let me at least check this out. Is it something I should be worrying about?
Right.
Like, so he picked up the books and started reading and he got hooked.
Oh, I'm
he
sure.
read all of
I'm
them.
sure.
Actually, he dropped off after book 5 because his favorite character died. And so like he was like, and I'm done. And he just got mad.
That's so funny.
So my dad. So my dad was again like, should I be worried? And then was like, this is a great book. It's great.
Yeah.
It's about kids and courage and standing up for your friends.
Right.
Like, it's not actually teaching you to do spells and witchcraft. So that's what he's like, yep, you're good. This is good morals.
Yeah.
And so, which is obviously then reading it with
What
my
was
kid.
the age that you kind of really got into reading?
Oh gosh, I was always a reader.
Oh, really?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Thing 1 comes by it very naturally. In that I am pretty convinced right now. The reason I don't wear my glasses all the time, I'm just nearsighted, so I can see you just fine. Driving down the freeway on the other hand. But I think that's why I wear glasses now, because when my parents came in and turned off the light and told me to go to bed, I'd have books hidden in my bed and I'd roll over and I'd read by my fish tank light.
Right.
Which is not good for your eyes.
No,
don't do
not.
it. There aren't any kids listening. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Probably why I have glasses now, because that's a very dim light. And I'd snuggle up next to my fish tank and flip the pages really slowly.
Right.
And I would read books by my fish tank light.
That's awesome.
So I got in trouble bringing books to the dinner table and stuff.
Oh,
I got in trouble
you
for
were
that.
one of those kids. I was definitely not one of those kids.
Yeah, because you started reading or
enjoying
reading. Later.
I only started enjoying reading as an adult, mostly when I was living in a state with no friends or family, and it was just my little one and I during COVID, which is when I really started enjoying reading.
Do we need a trigger for COVID?
I know, right? The years that shall not be named. We could just call him Bruno.
There you
Bruno
go.
years.
The Bruno years.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. I struggled to read until the 5th grade. I could not read the word cat or hat or any of those. I was homeschooled and pulled out of school because my school just kept going, oh, she'll be fine. She'll figure it out. She'll get teased if she's held back, blah, 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 blah. And my parents threatened to sue the school, and they finally were like, okay, we're done. We're going to take her to a bunch of specialists and figure it out. And we learned a lot of things. Christina is not a school person, let's just put it that way. So, but luckily my daughter has my husband's brains and smarts when it comes to all of that. And he does not like to read though, like at all. However, my daughter is extremely smart and loves to read.
Yeah.
So
she's very good.
She is. And
they're both above grade level.
They really are. Yeah. And I mean, this year they're supposed to know like 350 words or something like that by the end of the year. And I'm like, she technically can already know
they get
a bunch
lists
of words
every week and have what number list you're on. There's 20 for this school year?
I have no idea. It's like 25 words plus, however many lists there are.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy. But at the same time, like reading is such a strong thing in my life now that I don't care if she enjoys it necessarily. I don't want to be like, oh, you have to enjoy reading. I do want her to understand that in some ways it's a privilege to learn how to read.
Absolutely.
Because I did not have that as a kid and I struggled severely in school. And so, reading for me is a little bit of a trigger sometimes, depending on what it is that I'm reading or talking about and stuff like that. So, I think the first real book that I could read from start to finish was Little Women. My mom had one of the old school copies of it. It's so torn up and brittle. I still have the book. And it was the first book that I could read from start to finish without really needing the help or anything.
Needing the long break.
Yeah.
So to add to our list, that's another one I've never read.
You haven't? I
haven't.
Whoa. Have you seen any of the movies? Ooh, even
that's on the
better. List. So the one with Emma Watson is one of my favorite versions of Little Women. However, there are multiple of them.
Yeah.
And they're all pretty good. So, okay, well, I'm down that to the list. Yeah, exactly. I think we got off topic a little.
No. I'm going to switch my bullet points, my little summary here, because this was going to be my last bullet point of, kind of some of the other books we've considered. Yeah, now The Little Woman's definitely on the list.
Yeah.
And then we were talking, before this.
Yep.
We've thrown out Hunger Games.
Yep. I've never seen or watched any of the movies or read the books. So
we were talking about being in Colorado, doing The Shining would be kind of fun. I've never read or watched any of those.
Yep. I read it as a kid and not as a kid, but I definitely read it. And I watched the movie. I love scary movies. My husband does not, so I don't watch them much, but
I don't, but I think it's aged enough that's cheesy enough. I'm probably okay.
Probably. I mean, it is from the 80s.
Yeah, it's an old movie.
Yeah, it's a really old movie.
Before we were born?
I don't know that it was before we were born. That one I'll have to.
Close. We'll have to look.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to look at that. But it's definitely an old movie. It's an old book, and it's definitely a Colorado classic.
That's what I was like. I live in Colorado now. I feel like I need to read
exactly, and visit the hotel at some point and be like, "Ooh, I stood in this hotel," whatever.
That's what we'll do. After we do it, we'll go spend a night there. And
we totally should.
No. I've given her ideas.
Oh,
so scary.
I mean, yeah.
Now I'm scared.
I mean, we won't be able to get the one room because the room that the actor, because I'm totally blanking on his name now. He stayed in a specific room, and this book is based on a specific room. And so it's got a lot of craziness to that room.
No thanks.
And it's very expensive to stay in it.
Thanks.
So
Nope.
But we could stay at the hotel.
That'll be fun.
That might be fun.
An Airbnb in the area. Just visit.
Airbnb. No. Gotta be at the hotel to at least experience some of it. Because the movie is filmed there. So.
Yeah. No, I'm aware of the
context.
lore, I'll say. But not. I've never been I couldn't sleep after the first time I watched Indiana Jones. I don't think I slept for like 3 days. Like,
Oh, really?
As a kid, that scared me.
Okay.
Come on. And of course, they started with like, was it Temple of Doom that's got all the kids?
Oh, of course. You had to start with
with that one. I like the series now. I still don't like that movie, but
Yep.
I like the rest of Indiana Jones now. As long as it's Harrison Ford.
I mean, I haven't watched those movies in a very long time, but I've never read the books either. So,
Ooh, there's books.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, they're like not necessarily based on the movies, but yeah, there's, if I remember right, there's comics too, but I could be completely off base.
I've never been a comic reader.
Really?
I love Marvel. I'm Super Avengers, love all of that.
Yeah, I know.
But I've never been a comic book person.
Okay.
My brother was.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. But, yeah.
I did like girly comics. I didn't do like the full on Marvel stuff. I did random weird ones as a kid.
Cool. Those exist for a reason.
Right, exactly. Nancy Drew and things like that.
Oh, I love Nancy Drew.
Me too.
I still have a box of all the Nancy Drew books in the attic. Yep. I'm ready to slowly bring those back every time I fly out there.
Boxcar Children. Yes. I have a lot of them.
I have those.
Yep, I have a lot of their books.
Kids are great.
Yep.
There's another one.
Magic Treehouse.
I was like Treehouse something.
Yep. Yeah. My little brother's wife, who speaks primarily Spanish, she's actually learning English by reading Magic Treehouse.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he's going to give the collection to Water when she is done reading them, so that he's like, I don't want them in my house.
There's a lot of them.
Yep, there is a lot of them. So he's like, okay, I'm going to ship them to you, and Water can read them. I was like, okay, cool, whatever.
Those are great as a kid.
Yep.
We're slowly working through the American Girl doll right now.
Okay.
So we've read Molly. We're working on Josefina now. I'm using this as a stall tactic because when we finished the first Harry Potter book, she was immediately
let's read the second.
Start the next one.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh. Oh no, because my thought had been, let's read like one a summer so that she can age. Because as you'll see as we get into it, kind of the third book, the fourth book especially, it gets more grown. It gets more mature.
Yep.
And so I was like, you can't be
reading this at
young
your age.
Yeah. So that's my plan had been like one a summer. So she grew with them a little bit. But then she's like, let's start the next one. I was like, whoa.
Right, exactly.
Pump the brakes. But without pumping the brakes too much, because I want you to enjoy this.
Right.
She's considering it for Halloween, and I'm so excited.
Ooh.
Like, please, come on.
Yeah.
But we're still considering. We're in that like, there are 10 things I want to be for Halloween. Like, great.
Yeah. Yep.
You got a couple months figured out.
Yeah. Water wants to do Pokemon stuff.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That hasn't come up yet.
I'm surprised.
I am too.
You guys are a big Pokemon family.
Yeah, she kind of is. That was her last birthday.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll see. We have Thing 2's birthday is next. So
right. Yes.
I got to focus on what he's going to do. I don't know what. Yeah. I
know. I mean, he's still so little. So.
He's little.
Yeah.
He's cute.
Yeah. Water's birthday is coming up.
He's been a pain today. He spent most of today in timeout. So it's not been fun.
Okay, then.
Well, he's cute.
I'm glad you're here and not there, then.
Let's see if my husband agrees. He should be asleep.
Right. Hopefully taking his nap.
God willing.
Right. For sure.
He needs it.
So with this book,
what do you know about Harry Potter?
I know that they're magical. I know that they're children. At least now I know that they grow up a little.
Shock, surprise. The books go through years.
I know that there's a character called Dumbledore.
Close. Dumbledore.
Okay. Other than that, I don't know a whole lot. So
cool.
I know that there's some evil people. I know that there's some interesting people.
Some interesting.
Like the characters are just more interesting and stuff like that from what I've gathered. I know that there's an owl of some sort, like a snow owl. But other than that, I don't know anything about these books. So
Josiah, this will be so much fun.
Yes.
I know everything.
Right, exactly.
Try me at trivia. Let's go.
Actually, that would be kind of an interesting night for the group. as I read this, we could do like trivia nights.
Book 1 trivia.
Right, exactly. I'm sure we could come up with like a bingo card or something.
Ooh, there you go. What character did? I'll put you up against thing 1, see how much she remembers.
Right, exactly. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, so we'll get through the book. We'll watch the movie together.
Yep.
And then we'll do a special, kind of, obviously we're focusing on books.
Yep.
But we'll do special podcasts about the movies.
Yep, if the book has a movie to go with it.
Yeah, and if it doesn't, then we'll just do a fun wrap up.
Yep, for sure.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to be like, if we did a movie, who would you cast for what role?
Ooh, that would be kind of fun. Or like, how would we? So one of the books that I really want you to read, it's the character's name is Mercy Kilpatrick, and I have always dreamt about like what I would do as a movie for her. And she's based out in Oregon, so like the whole premise is Oregon, so it's kind of a fun.
It's not Twilight, is it?
Oh, not at all. Okay, not at all. It's a murder mystery thriller thing, so it's a lot of fun. But yeah, like it's one of those. I wonder what a movie would look like with this character.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. And then, we'll sell it off and retire in our, 30s.
Exactly. Maybe we just like create the movie for it.
Nope.
Wouldn't that be nice? But yes, so I think just kind of figuring out these books together and kind of reading something different is going to be more fun.
Yeah.
So
we'll break up the book. I think you kind of summarized what you know about it.
Mm-hmm. Which is not a whole lot.
I could throw out a bunch of random words right now and be like, oh.
Like abracadabra. I'm sure that's not in the book, but it's the only magical word I know.
So what's funny is like, I'm sure there's phrases you've heard or little jokes you've heard or
probably.
memes or something.
Yep.
That's like, oh, that's where this came from.
Yep.
Because even you calling 2020 the year that shall not be named is, you will quickly discover that is from Harry Potter.
Interesting. Hey, look
so
at us.
as soon as you said that, I was like, what? Maybe she knows more than she's telling me.
No, not at all. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, we all know where Bruno comes from. So like, if you have kids, you know where
we don't
talk about Bruno. And COVID is one of those, we don't want to talk about that time anymore. No. It's kind of like when your grandparents are like, oh, I remember, going uphill both ways in my stocking feet and 20 feet of snow or whatever. and then you feel like you're that old and you go, oh yeah, this one time during that 1 year,
we were all stuck in the house
reading or doing nothing
or me discovering my bike again.
Exactly.
Oh wait, this
our
is
hobbies.
Fun.
Yeah.
I bike 200 miles in a weekend for fun.
One of these days we're going to be
countries.
that old person though with our kids.
Not allowed.
Because our kids aren't going to remember any of it.
We'll still be sitting here doing this podcast. Remember when?
Remember with
this all used to have cables.
Exactly. Or the internet wasn't around when I was a kid.
Nope.
kind of
we
thing.
Didn't have cell phones.
I know, right? It's just one of those.
Our first phone was when my dad got from work.
Yeah. It was
work phone.
Large and in charge.
Large.
You could whack somebody over the head with
self-defense.
it. Right.
Self-defense cell phone.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those like books can time travel you in a way.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's kind of like bringing in that time travel with other people.
Which I'm curious with this one and with other books that we've talked about. So we've thrown out like another one is really that I love is Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
You've probably seen those movies.
I saw maybe the first one when I was a late teen. Other than that, it's been a long time.
Yeah. So there's only 2 books,
okay.
Which is then why the movies go downhill in the third.
I was going to say, isn't there like 20 of the movies?
So there's 6 movies now.
Kind of like Star Trek or whatever. Not Star Trek.
Star Wars?
Star Wars. There's like so many
9
movies.
9 of those now.
Yeah.
We don't talk about those.
Bruno.
No, I'm a nerd. I love Star Wars, but the last movies were interesting.
Yeah. And out of order.
I wanted to like them so much. But yeah, that could be a fun one. It'd be I'm curious that like with stuff like Harry Potter and Jurassic Park that I was obsessed with as a kid, running around one of my best friend's backyards, pretending we were chasing dinosaurs. Like
that's awesome.
That was my middle school years, guys. I wasn't cool. I'm still not.
I think you are.
Don't tell my kids that. And like, I'm curious if I read these like transported back as a kid and like, you know, in kind of this giddy way,
right?
Or if us doing it together we're reading it more as like, oh, like let's read this from a parent level now or from an adult level
for
now.
sure. I'm sure there's going to be like that difference, especially with these books you were talking about where they kind of start out. I think they start out really young. I don't know how young, but they start out really young and then you kind of morph into being an adult, I'm assuming.
You kind of come of age with them.
Okay. And so you came of age with these books basically. And then at the same time, you're kind of like, how does it look at now as me as a mom and as a wife and as a grown up? Like, what's the difference? I have to do
adult things like, you know, grocery shop and vote and like all of these things. I'm like, oh man, I read these when I was 10, 11, 12.
Right.
You know, growing up with the characters.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh.
And now you look back and you go,
children.
Right.
Now I'm like 11-year-olds and 10-year-olds or whatever look so young.
Right. They do.
Oh, you're still children.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm curious if that changes my perspective on any of the books or if I'm going to relate to characters differently.
Yeah. Well, and you said that you've reread this one specifically recently.
Very recently.
And do you feel like it's changed?
I feel like I've noticed it change more in listening to other podcasts that I listen to.
Okay.
And namely, you know what? I'm going to name drop them. Swish and Flick. If you're a Harry Potter fan and you're not listening to Swish and Flick, you absolutely should.
Yeah.
Christina's not allowed to yet.
Too many spoilers.
Oh yeah. And so I feel like kind of quote, again, air quotes here. I keep making gestures with my hands when you can't see me. And so like rereading it along with a podcast that I'm seeing it from a different perspective, just listening.
Right.
But then when I reread it with kiddo, I was more focused on explaining things to her.
Right.
Because a lot of stuff, she's like, what is that?
Right.
Okay. One little minor spoiler you'll figure out on the first page. If you don't already know, it's based in England.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
So there's some words that she's like, what is that word?
Oh, because of the English version of it rather than... Okay.
Yeah.
British English.
So I was focusing on the proper English. Well, fancy English. Focusing, making sure she understood everything and had questions.
Okay.
And she always surprises me, but at certain parts, making sure she wasn't scared.
Right.
And like, so I was more focused on her than actually the content I was reading.
Right. Yep.
Although rereading, I was like, oh, I totally forgot about this part. Oh yeah. I haven't reread the first book in a while. So there are definitely parts that I was like, ooh, I forgot about this.
Right. Right.
That with her, I was like, whoops. Sorry,
right.
kid.
For sure.
That was a little different reading it with her.
Okay.
So I'm curious. Yeah.
Yeah. As an adult. And not only that, but you're going to be reading this with me.
Yeah. Reading with another adult.
Yes.
We don't have to explain the British words too.
Right. Exactly. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see what you take from that as well as your podcasts and whatnot.
And obviously talking about it is different than just reading and comprehending.
Yep.
Like
it is. Well, somebody's perspective. It's all about it kind of goes back to that opinion thing. Like somebody else's perspective can be very different than your perspective on something. Like you could be like, oh, that person didn't do it because of X, Y, and Z. Like if you're reading a mystery thriller, but then the other person be like, oh, but I kind of see it going this direction. And you're like, oh wait, I don't think I caught that, And so having that different perspective will be interesting as well.
And I also, especially with a book that's a quote unquote easier read.
Yep.
So like Harry Potter, Hunger Games, all of these
they're based for teens.
There you go. They're good tween books. Especially those, I really tend to speed read. And so I'm like, okay, boring, don't care.
Slowing down.
Move on.
Yep.
Whereas now I can't do that.
Yep. Slowing
and even
down.
with new books. I'm in a weird, I'm not going to call them autobiographies because they're not all, but I'm in this weird, reading about people
Okay.
kind of mode.
Yeah.
So I'm currently reading Alan Rickman's diaries.
Okay.
That are fascinating.
I don't know who that is, but
Alan Rickman, Die Hard. He's the bad guy in Die Hard. He's one of the characters in Harry Potter.
okay, cool.
He's all over the place.
Okay.
He's also British.
Oh, you gotta love those voices.
Yeah, he was in. Oh, I'm gonna mess this up. He's not in Pride and Prejudice, but he's in one of those really popular,
Like Emma or something like that.
I'll look it up later.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten there yet in his diaries.
Right.
So I'm reading that one. I just read Making It So, which is Patrick Stewart's. Again,
Okay.
guys, I'm a nerd.
Patrick Stewart, I mean, he is I'm going to say this because I'm an adult and I mean, he's still fine. So, and he is such a great guy and such a great character in so many things that he does.
So
but
many
he is
things.
fine to look at too. So, yeah.
Yeah, not complaining. I grew up watching Star Trek, so
Yeah.
I was like,
I mean, I watched him in X-Men.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that too.
I mean, that out of all the weird things that I have ever actually gotten into, X-Men is one of them.
he's a good one in X-Men.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten he was in that.
Yep, he's
Yeah.
in the wheelchair, and
Yep.
like his
Xavier?
character is just very interesting to me. I've always liked his character.
Yeah. So I just finished his. I think his actually is an autobiography. If I don't stutter over the words. And then Matthew Perry's book is on my list.
Yes,
But I'm like, I was a big Friends fan. I watched
Yeah.
Friends a lot in high school
I did
and in
not.
college.
I've only seen a couple episodes.
Yeah.
I never got it. I don't know what my thing is. I never really got into a lot of the popular things that a lot of kids did.
So Friends, I only got into because my mom really liked Friends.
Okay.
And so she would turn it on like in the background
Right.
or like when we were sick or something.
Yep.
And yeah. And so that's kind of then my brother and I kind of fell in love with it and
Right.
watched it. And we were still, I was still in high school when the finale happened. And so it's like we did it as a family. Like it
Yeah.
was like we watched it all together. So it was kind of fun.
yeah.
And then a lot of the other, I'm going to say more popular shows took me a lot longer. Like I
Right.
didn't like The Office. I did not understand that.
Don't think I've ever watched that or heard of it. Like Gilmore Girls, I did a little bit,
never
did
got
Pretty
into
Little
that one.
Liars, but I never really finished any of their series. So
All of them are so long. It's like you should have
They
ended
are.
while you were ahead. Like, I'm sorry.
right. Or like the spinoffs that have been coming off for both of those with Gossip Girl and Pretty Little Liars, they're spinoffs. And I'm just like, why? You already caught A. Like, whatever. You already
done.
know who Gossip
on.
Girl is. Move on, people. Let's go. Just stick with the original and be done.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a few of those spinoffs. Or, you just got to lean into and go like ER and go for 50 years or whatever.
I know. right.
I do
Law
one or
and
the
Order.
other.
Like Law and Order went on. Or soap operas. I was reading
Days of
about
Our
somebody the
Lives
other
and
day.
whatever.
Jesse, what is his last name? Fostler, something like that. He's going to be on the new FBI International. And he's also in Chicago PD and a couple other shows that I really enjoyed. He
Is Chicago PD
was,
still on?
yes, it is
I thought
actually.
it was. Okay.
But he was in a soap opera. And I'm just like, do most actors like start in soap operas? Because like
lot do.
McDreamy did.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I'm just kind
So
of
did
like,
several Star Trek characters or actors did too.
I wonder if any of our Harry Potter people were
I don't
in
know. I'm
any-
going to find out.
I know, right? Wouldn't that be a fun little like, ooh.
By the way,
Yeah, this person was in like a soap opera. Because there's so many of them that have been on for so long.
just definitely something we're going to do as we hit books that have movies.
Yep.
Is do some fun trivia around those movies.
Yeah,
about,
for
like,
sure.
Like what else these actors were in or whatever.
or what they bombed in, or even if they're still acting.
yeah. Or if they were like, I'm done after this.
Yep.
And yeah, I've got some fun Harry Potter trivia. Shock surprise.
Well, Daniel Radcliffe, I know he just is starting to come back. He really kind of took a
He
pause.
did theater for a while.
Oh, I did not realize that.
He did
Okay.
Broadway and did theater for a little bit. Took a break.
I didn't realize he could sing.
My favorite, again, okay, I'll give away some trivia, is Rupert Grint. Played one of the main characters.
He's the redhead
Yeah.
in the movie. Okay. Yep.
he literally bought an ice cream truck.
Oh,
Like
how
just
cool
drives
is
around
that?
an ice cream truck.
Sign me up, dude.
Like that was his life goal. He's like, when I'm done, this is what I'm doing. I was like, oh my God,
Okay.
like that's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah, they do go off and do some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've mentioned Emma Watson and other stuff.
Yep. She's in
Beauty and the Beast.
yes, and the Little Women version that I really like. I went and saw that right after I had water, and it was my first you need out of the freaking house, child. Like, you need out and I need away from the baby. And so
In my
it had
sanity
just
for
come
an
out.
hour.
Yep, it had just come out in theaters, so I went and watched that. It was my first thing out. So I definitely enjoyed that movie, but yeah. And
I wonder if
think
you
she's
enjoyed that one as much now.
I haven't watched it since, so I probably should. But yeah, I mean, I might probably go watch all of those ones before we read the books, so that way I can be like, let's see which one's the best one that Krista wants to watch, or maybe like we watch one or two, so that we can kind of
Oh, it'd be fun to compare them.
compare,
Especially if
see.
there's big year gaps between them. Like, how did a different generation interpret this?
Right. And not only that, but, what is, Emma? Emma is an old book, like Pride and Prejudice.
Yep.
There's multiple.
I had a
of
college
them.
roommate obsessed with Pride and Prejudice, so I've
Yeah.
kind of like half watched the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many different versions of the movies. Like Keira Knightley is in
Yeah, that's the one
one of
I've
the
seen.
Pride and Prejudice movies. And then there's quite a few people that are really famous that used to be in like Emma's different movies and stuff like that too. So there's so many of them. And I'm like, comparing them is sometimes hard. Well, because you like an actor or an actress and then you go, oh, I can't see anybody else playing that character ever again. Like, could you do somebody other than Daniel Radcliffe or Emma Watson or Rupert?
Grint. Yeah.
Yes. Could you imagine other people in those roles?
Not now.
Exactly.
No. Which is something I found interesting. Speaking about our kiddos learning to read and all of that and associating books with movies. I said, when we watch a movie, I'll sprinkle in some of some of her thoughts because they were really funny.
Yeah.
But after we watched the movie together, she's like, now I can picture it.
Right.
And I was like, that's the downside about, I'm like, I am insisting that you read the book before you watch the movie.
Yep.
But I'm like, okay, before we read the next book, you should rewatch the first movie so you can
So that you can picture some of
characters
them.
and the
Yep.
settings and the like have it in your head. Because they're also, our kids are kind of at this weird break point of moving from a lot of animated stuff to more live action stuff.
Yep.
And that changes things.
Yep.
Like I mentioned it a few minutes ago, the new Beauty and the Beast. It wasn't until I watched that with her that I was like,
Yep. The live action.
ooh, this is a lot more intense.
Yeah.
With people.
And it's
much
kind
better,
of
but-
scarier in some ways with the real people as well.
Actually seeing a person fall off of a castle is and get shot and fall off a castle.
Right.
It's like, whoa, okay. That's a lot different than watching the little animated guy
Right, exactly.
fake fall from a castle. It's different.
It is. It's definitely
And
different.
it's been interesting, at least for me, trying to think of movies that she can watch.
Yep.
But I'm like, okay, like this is live now.
Right. Yep.
And then there's some that I insist on, like Robin Williams, rest in peace. Love him to pieces. He is the best genie.
Yep.
But man, the new Aladdin is so much better.
Yeah.
The live action Aladdin. I'm like, anytime she's like, I want to watch Aladdin. I was like, we're watching the live one because Jasmine is such a better character.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, strong women, strong women, strong women.
Right. For sure.
Love it. Again, I love you, Robin Williams. Everyone's going to come at me for that one. But
Yep.
like,
Yeah. I mean, he was such a great guy, but I think like Will Smith did a pretty good, fantastic job.
He made it his
as
own.
the journey. Yep. As
he
the
made
genie.
it his own extremely well.
Yep. And he didn't feel like he had to follow in Robin Williams' footsteps, which is the best part because some actors, when they
Oh God, that was just a
remake
landmine.
movies like that, you're kind of like, oh, you have to be like that other person.
Locked in.
And yeah, and it's not always like that.
It doesn't work well.
No,
a lot of
definitely not.
times.
But I think it's interesting though, like movies to books and like the differences and things like that. I mean, because the original Beauty and the Beast as a book is nothing like the movies.
It's I haven't read it, but I've I've heard it's very messed up.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
it's Stockholm syndrome.
And Grimm's Brothers are some of my favorite books, like that they wrote, and I read, as a kid. They're some of my favorites, and I still have one of their like books that I read, and I will sometimes pull it out with water and be like, oh, hey, like, let's read this one. And then I'm reading Hansel and Gretel, and I'm like, oh boy, let's not read this anymore.
No.
Yeah.
They're creepy. I'm so glad we've gotten past that.
I mean, the whole premise between them is their own story. However, like at the same time, it's kind of like, okay.
And also at the time those things were written,
right?
Everything had to have a moral. It was all about learn something, stay alive. Please don't die.
Right.
Because we can't have TV PSAs about, watch your kids in the pool.
TVs when those were.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it was like we used books to tell parents to watch kids around water and climbing trees and around big bad monsters that were, it's like bears in the woods. Like,
Yep.
You had to use books and stories and folklore to tell these stories. And it's like, that got dark.
Yeah, for sure. But for me, it's some of my favorite books out there.
I mean, I don't think I would have liked them younger, but as an adult, I was like, okay, this is kind of a fun mental game.
It's almost like
what is happening.
Yep. And you kind of are like, okay, what's going to happen at the end?
Yeah. How do they get out of this?
Right. Do they survive?
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, to me, it's an interesting, like, coming from somebody that did not read as much as a child to somebody that loves to read now, like the differences in the books from when you are a kid to when you're an adult, and then like bringing all of those aspects in, and then reading some of those same things that you used to read as a kid or a teen or whatever, and rereading those things with your little ones. It's always
so different.
So interesting.
I mean, even reading the American Girl dolls.
Yeah.
So I started with Molly because that's the one I got first when I was little.
Yep.
And so that's the one I started reading with, thing one.
Yep.
And it was like when I read when I was younger, it's a great story that, her dad's away at war and like, but you're focused on the kid and what she's doing to support, and all of this. When I'm being an adult who's, my husband used to be in the military and has been deployed.
Yep.
Then now reading that and reading the letters that they get, and the family gets the letters and the lack of communication.
Yeah.
And then, spoiler alert, if you're not reading a 20-year-old book, when he does come home, like I could not get through that chapter.
Yeah.
Like I am reading with her and I am just sobbing. She's looking at me like, what is wrong with you? Please read the book.
Right. Well, and she doesn't remember any of his deployments because she was too little.
She was too little. Yep. Thank God. Again, the year that shall not be named.
Right.
And coincided with 2020. And so like she doesn't remember it, but just having that personal of like, I couldn't imagine not being able to email
or pick up a phone or
I mean, I text him a picture every single day of her ready for school or ready for ready for daycare at that point. And like I just sent him a daily picture, to make sure I always sent at least one.
Yep.
Obviously I probably sent like 10, but
probably.
like you get your one every day.
Right.
And I was like, I couldn't. Oh my God.
Or remembering how slow mail could be back in the day.
Yep. Yeah. And listening on the radio, and they hear his voice on the radio and they're so excited. And I was, oh my gosh, I was a mess. I was just in tears. I was like, oh boy, we shouldn't have started with this one.
Maybe we should have done one of the other ones.
Like, okay, I'll start with Josefina or Kirsten or somebody else first that I don't have this connection to.
Right. Exactly.
But those were fun to read, but that again, as a kid reading it, I was a kid.
As
a kid. So I was focused on the kid, her struggles at school and the way she can help and be grown up. And then reading as an adult, I'm more focused on the parents, and I'm focused on her mom holding down the fort with these kids and dad away. And I was like, okay, that's different.
Right. Yep. You see that.
Now I'm a puddle on the floor.
Right. You see those connections with your own life at that point.
Yeah. it's like, whew, okay.
Right.
So I'm curious, like I said, I'm curious as we get into the Harry Potter, if I'm going to like fall back into a kid and just sit back and like enjoy it.
Right.
Or
if you're going to pick it apart more.
Yeah. Or if I'm going to look at it more from an adult standpoint of like, what are the adults in the story doing?
Oh.
Instead of focusing on
interesting
what the
way of looking at it
kids
too.
in the story are doing. So I was the same age as them.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, you guys have so much fun at school. School's boring.
Right. I want to go to their school,
I
Ma.
go to this school. Go disappear.
Right.
Still waiting on my letter. But like, yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm curious. I don't know.
I don't know.
We're gonna
I
have
guess
fun.
we're going to find out though.
So next time, my book's behind me. Sorry. There we go. I have 3 versions of the Harry Potter books now.
Okay.
The one that if we, pictures that you will see, I've got the fancy animated books that
Right.
Another mutual friend has been gifting our kids since she was born.
Yeah.
So I have the first 5 books so far that are
Okay.
animated. Those are the
Nice.
ones I'm reading with the kids.
Yep.
Because they're far more exciting than just words.
Yep. Always.
And then I've got, they're still at my parents' house, but I still have the originals that I bought when I was a kid.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
slowly bringing those back with me.
Yep.
And then I went to
Probably
Target the
because
other day, and Target has them in paperback for $9.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one that I'm writing in as we're doing this, because I'm like, I don't care.
Maybe I should do that too. I'm better with that kind of thing when it comes to notes.
I was like, this would be kind of fun to be able to take notes in, and I'm going to have a notebook also, because writing
for sure.
summaries and stuff, there's not a lot of
But
space.
you're not going to write in the little margins and hold it forever
My
and be
handwriting.
like,
I'm an engineer. My handwriting sucks. I type everything.
like being a doctor.
I am not a doctor. Thank you very much. I stopped.
But your handwriting.
Yeah, probably pretty close. Thankfully, nobody's life depends on my handwriting.
True that.
And so, it came out in 1997. There you go.
Wow.
I was trying to remember when the first books came out.
So almost 20 years ago.
Pretty darn close.
Wait, no, almost 30 years ago. Sorry, I can't do math.
Oh, God, that's almost 30 years ago.
We're literally not even a full 3 years from
Oh, boy.
27. So, it makes me feel old.
That makes me feel really old. So I don't think I read this one when it came out.
Okay.
I think probably
you would
the
have
first
been
2
pretty
were
young
probably-
for that point.
I'd been, under 10.
Yeah.
So, but. I started
And if
reading
you
them pretty
think that the
quickly.
third one had some general adultish stuff in it or more grown up.
I'm going to have to go back and look, but there's a gap between a couple of the books because the author had some issues with the publisher and timelines that she did not like.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Okay. So you probably did read them around your tween to teen.
Yeah. So
Okay.
a few of the books had like 2 years between them.
Oh, okay.
And so they weren't quick succession.
Right.
Like we're going to read them. We don't have
Right.
to wait. It was torture.
Right. I'm sure it's kind of like waiting for your favorite TV show to come back the next week.
Although, talk about things that weren't a thing when we were growing up. I'm so glad that's kind of going away.
Oh, yeah.
Like people are dropping entire series and here's
Yep.
season 1 all at once. I'm like, binge it. Let's
Yep,
go.
exactly. Yep. We my niece and I binged a entire season of a show.
Nice.
And of course, the second season doesn't come out till October. But we did all 13 episodes in like a day and a half, technically.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice.
It was fun.
There's a few I can do that with. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of the last one. Ted Lasso. I could probably do that with.
This one we did Found, and it was a really
don't know that
good one. Yep. That
okay,
one.
add it to the list. I'm so behind on a few things. I say I love Star Trek. I'm behind on a few of those guys.
Yep.
There's also too many.
Right.
Yeah, so I just opened this book and I was like, oh, 1997. There you go. And so, yeah, so we've got it broken up. And like I said, we'll post
Yep.
whatever, how the chapters are grouped together. And if we get off, apologies, it's going to happen.
Yep.
That just means you're a chapter ahead reading. It's fine. So next time, we're going to talk about the first 3 chapters.
Yep.
Chapters 1, 2, and 3 of the first book.
Okay.
No spoilers because it's the name of the chapter, so I'm just going to read them. So it's The Boy Who Lived, The Vanishing Glass, and The Letters from No One.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun. So those will be our first 3 that we dive into. Most of them are chapters in groups of 2, with the exception of the last ones. We intentionally kind of wanted to slow down the last couple chapters of every book, because we'll be talking a lot about ties back to the beginning of the book, and or kind of get to the end of like, okay, Christina, who done it? Who do you think is gonna
who's
behind the wall? Like kind of like what's gonna happen?
Yep.
So we want to be able to leave some more time for that.
And then if the movie is a thing, if it exists with the book, then we'll take an episode and we'll do a movie recap of that movie and be like, ooh, what the heck?
What did they leave out?
Right, exactly.
I completely forgot this character. Womp womp.
Probably. Exactly.
So yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So we'll get those posted.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're going to so let's dive into social media.
Yep.
We're going to have a Facebook and an Instagram group.
Yep. And a YouTube.
And a YouTube channel.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Neither one of us are on TikTok or X. So
Nope.
Not doing any of those.
Nope.
We are going to keep both, especially the Facebook group, but both keep them spoiler free.
Yep.
So we're going to be approving posts. And so I'm going to, even though obviously we're both admins.
Right.
Like as the post comes in, Christina's going to ignore the the notification that says you have a new post.
Right.
So I'm going to proofread it and make sure things aren't being given away.
Right, for sure.
And then either we'll see how much free time there is, but either after every episode is released, or maybe at the end of a book, we'll have some talking points about like, what did you think about, or when you first read it, what was or if this is your first time reading it, what are your predictions about X, Y, and Z? Like,
quiz time.
Yeah. Kind of fun stuff about like, what did you think was going to happen? Did you see that coming?
Yep.
Like, yeah, we'll have some fun community involvement, I'll call it.
Yep.
And we're going to keep everything spoiler free.
Yep. At least try.
Yeah, as best as possible for a, what do we say, almost 30-year-old book?
Yeah, exactly.
That's hard.
That is. It's crazy how old that is.
It's a lot of time. Now I'm feeling old now.
Right.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. No, I'm officially at that age that somebody asked my age and I have to think about it.
I know, right? I have to be like, okay, I'm closer to half my years than I am anything
0.
else. Right, exactly. So,
like, oh, all right, look around, like especially at work. I look around now and somebody's asking questions or looking, for the adult who knows things. And I'm like, oh no, when did that become me? Like,
I know, right?
No, thank you. I don't want to be the adult in the room.
I don't want to be the adult.
Oh yeah. Oh, boo.
Right, exactly.
Go ask somebody else. I delegate that question.
Right. Can I just have a shirt that just says, go ask someone else? I don't want to answer, or something like that.
For the kids.
Yep.
I'm
Go
assuming
ask your
yours
dad.
does this too, of like, you're in the bathroom or the shower and dad's sitting at the table 2 feet from them. And they'll stand up and walk all the way upstairs to the shower. And Mom, can I? Like, are you kidding me?
Yep. All the time. Or she'll stand right outside the bathroom and be like, Mom.
That's why you like horror movies and books.
Right. PTSD on that. Yeah, I'm always like, okay, go ask your dad. And I don't want to.
Go ask the adult that's 2 feet from you.
Right, exactly.
And not the one that's having me time.
Right. Or go ask the dog. The dog can give you an answer.
Well,
oh, wait, the dog can't answer you? Oh, then I guess
shucks.
it's a no at that point. Sorry.
And you're done.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Oh, they're cute. We love them, I swear. We love them. We
definitely
love them
do, but
all the parents listening right now are going, yup. It's too true.
I mean, what is the saying? Time flies by or something like that. Like the years are short and the
nights are long, but the years are short.
Yeah, that one. So it's so very true. But at the same time, you're kind of like, okay, I need to be able to be me as well.
I need a minute.
Yep.
Which is also part of the reason we're doing this.
Exactly.
We have our own thing.
Exactly.
A hobby that doesn't involve the kids.
More fun.
Or me biking 200 miles. I need a break from that.
Right. I can't always go biking.
I mean, I wish I could, but
Yeah.
especially around here.
It is gorgeous.
Beautiful. Although mountains,
You don't want to go up the
it's a
hills.
lot of uphill. I want to come down.
There you go.
Like the people that bike to the top of these 14ers around here. And I'm like, no, I'll bike down.
Right. Take me up in a helicopter and then I will come all the way down.
Which I did learn is a thing the other day.
Yes.
My brother got to go hella biking.
Yeah.
And I was like, I knew hella skiing was a thing. And when he sent pictures and videos, I was like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I need that cheat.
Right.
He also does that stuff for a living. So, all right, you go be crazy. I'll be the one who sits behind a desk.
Right, exactly. I wonder if that's where thing 2 for you comes from is your brother's adventures.
Yes, he is his uncle.
Yes.
It's terrifying.
Yes. Here, I can totally jump onto the couch from the second story. Come on.
Oh boy.
Why not?
Thankfully, he's not quite that bad.
Just wait. He's still little.
Oh, that's why. So we got thing 1 on skis last year, and she loved it. She took she's my cautious kid, and she took to it, and it was great. And so, but I was like, nah, I gotta let thing 2 get a little bit older. My mom was like, no. You strap him to a board and put a GoPro on him and see what happens.
Yeah, kind of like that kid that's like 3 or 4 that has the microphone.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Instagram page, probably.
Probably.
Can we say names of other Instagram pages and stuff that we like?
I'd assume so.
Okay. Chasing Sage. If you're on Instagram and you're outdoorsy, Chasing Sage is adorable.
Yep.
I also want to find her little like dinosaur snowsuits that she wears. Oh, they're so cute.
So funny.
They're so fun. Although last time I followed thing 1 down a hill, she forgot to turn and I thought she was going to cream into a post.
Oh.
I was like, you've got to slow down.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But it's fun. We're excited for this winter now.
Yeah.
I'm ready for winter.
I mean, Water's going on to her skis this year. So for the first time. And that's only because I'm not an outdoor skis person. So she'll
our
be
families are all
going
to go have fun.
Yep. And I was
You'll sit
saying
in
that
the lodge.
thing 1 and Water definitely have to go the first time down together because mine will be like, wait, what?
What am I
But
doing?
with thing 1, it will definitely help.
Yeah.
So
Peer pressure.
exactly.
This is fun. You're going to like it.
Exactly.
You
We'll
have
see.
no choice. You
We'll
live in
see.
Colorado.
Right.
There are things you just must do.
Right. Exactly. So, but yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
So that wraps up our intro episode, I'll call it. Not really our first episode.
Like a
kinda.
pilot. Get to
Ooh,
know us.
There you go.
Episode and what we're going to do.
We're
and
cool,
read.
right?
Oh, totally. We are totes cool. Wait, isn't there like slang for like cool now?
Oh, I don't
It's
know.
like Ohio or something.
What?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Should ask like my niece. I should probably ask her and be like, what's the word for cool?
There you go. All my nieces and nephews are too young. They won't know.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I might have some nieces that might know. I
Yeah.
may have to go ask them.
Yeah, you might.
All right, guys.
They have a whole new
That may be
language.
cool. They do.
Yeah.
It's scary. I'm not ready to learn that.
Me neither. Nope.
Dreading those years. I'm already dreading those years.
Mine's going to be interesting. So my child's just like me in so many ways. So it'll be fun for sure. I'm going to have a lot of adult beverages.
Well, and it's funny because I mentioned that mine's super timid and shy and like very hesitant to try new things.
Yep.
And so they're a very fun combination.
Yeah.
That
So
yours
my child is wild and in charge.
pulls
And
mine out of her shell.
Yep.
And mine keeps yours from jumping out of a tree.
True. Very true. Oh, wait, we shouldn't do that. Oh, but I want to. Yeah, no, we're not doing it. It makes it so much easier with those two. You must stay together. You're not allowed to leave each other's side.
Leave each other. I'm going to super glue you together.
Exactly.
Go have fun at the trampoline park. You're attached.
Right, exactly.
Don't die.
Please don't. But yes. Okay, well, we're going to do our chapters and we will
Talk to you next time.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for this episode. If you had fun, please follow, download, and review this podcast on your preferred listening platform.
If you're ready for the next chapter, join the spoiler-free conversation on our Facebook group. Search You Haven't Read What? The podcast.
Or on Instagram and YouTube for exclusive videos and behind-the-scenes content. Have a great week.
And we'll catch you on the next page.